What's up, everybody? Welcome to Pod Chef, the only official Top Chef podcast parody that exists on the internet. I guess I haven't checked, but it's the only one that Tom told us that he asked people to do. So if anyone else is out there saying that they have a Top Chef podcast that's official, it's not. It's ours. Tom Colicchio told us to do it.
And if our fans out there, our rabid fan base, finds any podcasts that are doing the same thing we're doing, re-listening and rewatching Top Chef from the beginning, and maybe probably they're doing it better than us, just let us know so we can try and find some way to undermine them and destroy their podcast, because we'd really like to be the only one out there. And we're pretty aggressive with competition and our approach to how we want to take them down.
And I want to say that if there are other podcasts that you find that are doing the same thing we're doing, go ahead and leave a review on their podcast and tell them that PodChef is better, we're funnier, and just leave those reviews so that they can see that there is us. We exist also, and we're doing this good and well and awesome and funny as well. So there.
I think that would be good. I think also, like, if you want to just do the kind of review you've been doing for us, which, oh my God, thank you so much for the reviews.
Thank you so much for those reviews.
They've been really good. They're following instructions, leaving what you ate for dinner on the night that you are leaving the review. Do that on the other podcasts, which I know I did say to do that on another podcast a little while back. Don't do it on that one. Just do it on... I can't stress that enough. Don't do it on that one. Do it on other Top Chef rewatch podcasts.
Yes.
Did Nice White Parents get canceled or something? Are we not supposed to talk about that show anymore?
I mean,
what is that show?
It's a podcast by I think it was by Sarah, who did Serial. And it's a deep dive into the Serial, into the educational, basically the system in New York right now, and kind of like the racial bias there. So it's a serious podcast, and this is not. So we probably shouldn't intersect them in any way.
Oh, okay. So that was your point. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was Reeves backing down from a bit that he did a few episodes ago. And before that, you heard Jamal reiterating Reeves about undermining and taking down other podcasts. I'm Brian, as always. We're the three amigos, your three best friends. We're fresh off it, folks. Let's talk about it. We interviewed Harold Dieterle from Top Chef Season 1, and you heard it. It happened.
Yep, you heard it. We have done it, and it was, oh my God. The guys, you remember during the interview when...
So down to earth.
Oh my God, so down to earth. So many moments to like remember that were so great, that are also specific. Wow.
Let's hear one. Let's bring up one. I think my favorite moment from the Harold Dieterle interview was when he told us that behind the scenes, we wanted the scoop. We said, give us the scoop. He gave us the scoop. He said that they had uncovered knuckle boxing every night in the house, and it was just what they did to make themselves feel alive. They said the cooking is great. They love to cook, but like to really feel alive, they did bare knuckle boxing. He called it nothing covering their knuckle boxing. I don't know why, but it is called bare knuckle boxing. And yeah, the guys fought the women fought the guys. They just wanted to keep it even.
So if you're listening and you're wondering, this episode already has a different flow. We're trying Brian out again as host. So we're going to see how that goes. So far, so good. Sorry to interrupt. Just wanted to bring the audience along. And also what I prepared for you last night, because we didn't do the what we eat.
I was getting there. We were having fun talking about other stuff.
Different hosts, different times. I prepared for you last night, Chef, is a bowl of frozen blueberries.
Wow. That's all you had for dinner?
That's all I had for dinner last night.
Nothing else?
Nothing else. It was a very chill night. Just sat here and like ate a bowl of blueberries for like an hour, very slowly.
An hour?
Yeah, just slowly. Had like one spoon every 10 minutes.
Whoa.
Now, are you saying it was a chill night because you like weren't doing anything? You like lit a nice candle and you were just relaxing, or because the blueberries were frozen?
A little bit of both, because the blueberries were cold, so it was chill when I was eating them, but also because I had done some cleaning of the apartment, And I was just relaxing, sitting here watching the social thing, the social
Network?
documentary. No,
Social
the
Network.
social network.
Eisenberg,
Okay, knew it.
Jesse Eisenberg, Social Network on Netflix, and
Lex
playing
Luthor.
Call of Duty. What?
He's Lex Luthor.
It's freaking Lex
In-
Luthor.
What are you talking about?
In Batman vs Superman, he's Lex Luthor.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Is that right? Is that the movie
Haven't
that
seen
he's
it.
Lex Luthor in?
You know
haven't
what?
seen
I think what you're thinking of is
Superman 2.
Superman.
Return.
yes, Superman Returns, the second one.
Yeah.
The only
So-
movie that I like that he's done is Adventureland. That's a good movie. We like that movie, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm sorry. I was trying to come up with some way to force in a Lex Luthor. Oh, no, wait. A Lex Luger connection, but I couldn't figure it out.
You have to tread lightly because he's in a bad way right now.
Oh, is he?
Isn't he like
That's sad.
paralyzed from cracking his neck on a plane?
Oh my God. I did not know that.
How do you crack your neck on a plane?
Like
It
he was like
crashes.
cracking his neck, like how like like men do, like crack my neck,
Oh.
and he did it, and it paralyzed him. But I think
Whoa.
this could be wrong. I think this is true. I think that he got unparalyzed or is getting less paralyzed through DDP yoga.
Okay. And that makes sense because that has so much like mental and physical healing qualities doing DDP yoga.
Okay. Hey, chef, what I prepared for you was a fucking pizza from Wegmans. It happened, folks. I had another fucking self-rising pizza. This one wasn't DiGiorno, though. It was Wegmans brand. It happened. I'm not going to hide from it. It happened. There we go.
Wegmans is good though. That's a good pizza.
Yeah, but it's every time we do this fucking show, I had pizza the night before. Do I have pizza 7 days a week? No, I don't.
Mm,
Can I prove it? No, I can't.
Okay.
6 days a week.
So I mean, the question that's on all our fans' minds are: did that pizza rise?
It did. That sumbitch rose. It wasn't as good as a DiGiorno. It cost a lot less. And I went to Wegmans. New Yorkers, if you are in New York, if you're in Brooklyn and you're sick of going to Key Foods and like Seafoods and these other grocery stores that aren't very good, go to Wegmans. I think I'm a suburban daddy is what's happening to me. I don't like living in the city. I like suburban things. Wegmans is a little suburban oasis. There's parking. Oh my God, there's parking. Oh boy. That was great.
You know, if you love suburbs, you could move back to Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm a New Yorker now. Pizza bagels. I'm walking here. The subway. I haven't been on the subway in 8 months.
And you're complaining about it.
It doesn't run on time.
Got to get back to being late to work.
Okay, chef, I prepared for you a smoothie, and you better believe your boy put some kale in it. It had some yogurt and blueberries, maybe, and banana. I did not. This was not coordinated, Brian. I promise you, but I really didn't. That was all I had for dinner. Was that?
It sounds like you guys are both like, "Hey, let's just have fucking fruit for dinner." And make Brian look like the fucking food monster that he is. And when we both say fruit, and Brian ate pizza again.
Oh boy!
I mean, I would have preferred to have a pizza, but it just
what you eat, and my skin is turning blue.
You're right,
and that's not because episode 8 is called Wedding Bell Blues, and the cast has to figure out how to make a wedding service for a. I'm sorry, I'm taking over the.
That's fine. Let's just. You know what? Hosting. You see how
natural it was, though. How I just naturally.
I was going to find a way. I was going to force something in there. I was going to get there.
I mean, we kept saying blue, so I was just waiting for you to jump in there, but.
Maybe it should be a fluid thing, the hosting, where it's just like we feel it. Yeah.
And then we should like appreciate when one another makes a nice transition.
Yeah.
Like how someone might transition from being single and gay to married and gay. Like in Wedding Bell Blues, the episode that we watched for this week's Top Chef. Pod Chef.
I don't get that transition, but I applaud it.
That was good. I like
Great.
it.
So This episode was a lot of fun. It started with Tiffany. Everyone was a little upset. Let's talk about it. Miguel went home. Our favorite New Yorker is gone. He's out of here. He made the biggest doozy of them all, which is getting sent home from Top Chef. Everyone's upset, but everyone's ready to take it serious now. They're all mad that they threw each other under the bus last episode. Tiffany says that she won't attack anyone. She already has, but she won't do it. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's talking about how like no one wants to go home at this point, because previously, as we saw, the other cast members that were eliminated, it sounded like they wanted to go home at the point that they were eliminated, as some kind of like backtracking thing where they wanted to prove that they actually didn't want to win. But the people that are left now, they want to win. They're ready to compete, and they're there for this challenge.
Yeah, why don't we play a clip of proving that the people here want to win and want to do good?
Yeah.
That sounds great.
I see Harold and I going somewhat far in this competition, and we have mutual respect for each other. We are the best chefs amongst the rest of the group.
The closer people get to feeling like they're about to be eliminated, the more they're sort of making it personal and throwing people under the bus and grasping at straws on their way out. So I refuse to do that. At no point am I going to attack anyone in this competition.
And that's what I like about Tiffany. At no point is she going to attack anyone in this competition, and she definitely hasn't. And if you heard that she did in previous episodes, you probably weren't paying attention. So that's what I like. I like that Harold and Steven sees himself going very far. And if I know anything about Top Chef, as soon as someone starts talking like that, they get eliminated.
Yeah, they just tell you what's going to happen in reality TV shows. Look, little insider baseball here, folks. If you're watching reality TV and one of the first people when the episode starts, someone goes like, "I'm going to win this thing," or "I'm going to get through this whole thing," they're going home tonight.
They're going home tonight.
Their bags are packed at that point.
That's true. I would say that later on in Top Chef, they do kind of make it a little bit harder to figure out up top. But it is like the people that they focus on at the beginning of the episode, either they win or they lose.
Yep.
Which actually, now I think about it, are the only results. So
those are the results.
Okay. You know what? Keep that in. That might be helpful for some people. So keep it in.
So the quickfire, they had to design a wedding menu. So this is the quickfire actually has to do with the main challenge, which is a lot of fun. They are introduced to this couple getting married, and it is Scott and Scott, same first name, which I think is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. But I think it's important to just kind of like get out that it's like Scott is a real clean cut guy. He seems to be really direct about what he likes. He seems to really like sweet food and kind of leaves all the other stuff up to Scott. And Scott is a little bit disheveled. He's not as clean cut as Scott. He likes main dishes, but he's not really into sweets like Scott is. So Scott and Scott are a little bit different. And that's all. That's it.
I think Steven really sums up his take on Scott and Scott.
Seeing two grooms walk in instead of a bride and groom for the wedding reception, put it in a little bit of a different perspective that, we would be able to be, I think, a little more exciting and flavorful and colorful. It'll be interesting to see how things pan out.
Yeah, he really nailed it because they are because they're a gay couple getting married. They can be more colorful and things can be more fun, and that's why I guess they all just offered Asian dishes.
Well, they said that they wanted, so Scott, not Scott, but Scott said that they wanted Asian fusion as their type of food.
I'm the only real Asian in the room.
What was that? Yeah. That was Leanne saying that she was the only real Asian in the room, yes. which was great. It does let you know that they cut a bunch of when everyone else was pretending to be Asian. Because why else would she say that unless everyone else was pretending to be Asian at the time?
I'm the only real Asian in the room.
Yeah. Did you guys get those deleted scenes? And
Yeah.
from Tom.
From
Yeah.
Tom, yeah. He told us
Yeah.
not to talk about it though, because it's embarrassing and very racist.
Yeah.
That's why everyone's laughing in the background too. It's like, oh my god, we're doing the bit again. We were just doing.
Yeah. I mean, Tom sent a bunch of clips, but they was all like footage not found when it was cutting to like
Yeah.
something that I think was probably bad.
Yeah. Also, everyone was doing. I mean, Leanne's the only one who wasn't doing an offensive accent. I'll just put it that way.
Yep.
So they have to they have to design a menu. They have to sketch a cake and then prepare a cold shrimp appetizer. They kept saying prawns for some reason in this episode. I don't know why they kept saying prawns. It's shrimp, right?
No,
They
they're
are
two different things.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're
one's
different?
huge, one's small. So they
These
are
weren't
different.
big. I saw little tiny shrimps. No one had a big, huge thing they were eating. They were little
Well,
shrimps.
Well, they weren't jumbo prawns. So again, those are two different things. Shrimp and prawns are different.
But okay, you said the difference between them is that one is big, but
Well-
you just now said these weren't jumbo prawns.
Yeah,
So it
but
sounds to
prawns
me
in
like
general are bigger than shrimp. Even I think a jumbo shrimp is still not as big as a jumbo prawn. Look, if you go to the store and you're like, I'm looking for tomatoes, and someone says we only got tomatoes, you can't just swap them out for each other. It matters.
I don't know. All I ever ask for is where's the DiGiorno, and they go, you know what they are, and I go, oh yeah, that's right. And I go, and
That's
then I
true.
get 100 of them.
I remember I went to the store with you. We went to Gristides, and we walked in, and they said, "Self-rising doughboy." And I was like, Jesus, Brian.
I would have been offended if I didn't tell them to call me that, and then I would. So it was fine with me. It was good. Harold hates this. He can't draw. And he says something. He's a great line here. I think we have the clip.
I was looking around and I'm watching Leanne making origami over there. People want to be impressed. They want to be dazzled. And I wasn't feeling very confident. It's no white out. I don't draw. I'm a cook, man.
I'm a cook, man. I don't draw.
Yeah, and I think it's important for him to point out that there is a difference between being a cook man and a chef, because they're very, very different. A chef is someone who's employed to cook food and then serve it to people that are paying for you to cook that food or whatever they've selected in the menu. A cook man is a guy who cooks, and he's a man. Okay? It's very different. And he's also not a draw man. Okay? Those are different things. And a draw man's different from an artist. Okay? That's another difference.
Yes, it is.
Leanne ends up pitching a menu that Scott likes and Scott also really liked. So they select Leanne's menu to be what's going to be served at their wedding, which, big surprise, is in 16 hours.
I feel like they all should have picked up on that. Like, this is Top Chef. You've been here now for 7 weeks. They just made you do Restaurant Wars. You should have been on your toes. Oh, they're making us do a wedding challenge. This is unsettling. What are they going to make us do? Cater a wedding that's tomorrow? Yeah, right. Oh, shit.
I think because this is the first season of Top Chef, maybe the contestants are thinking, oh, they're not going to have us fuck up somebody's wedding. Like, there's no way they're going to have us fuck somebody's wedding up. It's Scott and Scott's big day. In no world would they have us fuck up their wedding by giving us some crazy amount of time to complete this task, right? And the answer was, no, guess what? You're fucking up a wedding because you can't make all this shit in 16 hours.
Now, let me ask you two something, because we're all married here. So for your weddings, if Bravo approached you and said, hey, we're recording Top Chef, and one of the challenges is we want them to do a quick turnaround on a wedding, would you have not made plans to secure a vendor and waited until the last minute and said, yeah, I'll just let these chefs do it?
Well,
And have the film crew at your wedding?
In reality, what probably is going on is they're like, we're going to pay for the whole thing. And that's a big deal. Like, if they're like, we're going to take care of all this food, you're like, cool, that's huge for us.
So that's what I was wondering. I think it's probably the benefit is they pay for all the food is covered. I mean, it couldn't be the entire wedding, right? It's just like the food is going to be covered for them. Yeah.
But they said they had a $3,000 budget, though. Wouldn't Top Chef have more than that for a budget?
It's just probably like to make it limited.
Yeah, to make it hard. You think that they made you think they made the Scotts pay for this wedding?
Well, that's the thing. Is like
I believe that they did.
They had that. Tom sent me that clip of Scott, like, because Scott like starts taking out his checkbook and he's like, "Listen, open checkbook. I'll throw down as much. This means a lot to me. You know, Scott is really excited about this. I want to make sure Scott has a good time." And then Scott tells Scott, like, you know, put the checkbook away. That's not what we can't do that. And Scott tells Scott that he's like, I want us to have a good wedding, Scott. And he's like, Scott, listen to yourself. We're arguing if we're getting married in a day, Scott. And he's like, Scott, you're right. I know. I love you so much, Scott. He says, I love you too,
Scott. And they started crying and they didn't have tissues, but they did have Scott's paper towels. Mm-hmm. So Scott handed Scott one of Scott's, and they used that to get the tears off their faces.
Yeah, and they really should have left that scene in. It was pretty beautiful.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. I'm glad that you clarified that, because I was wondering if maybe like Top Chef had told them like, "Hey, you guys pay $3,000, we'll cover the rest," and then they just like fuck them by only making it be $3,000.
Yeah. So what you're saying is if they would have paid for the food at your wedding, you guys would let this happen at your wedding?
I think you have to believe that they'll do a good enough job. I mean, am I being told that they only have 6? Actually, I don't know how long it takes to cook. When it says you have 16 hours, my brain goes, that's plenty of fucking time to cook.
But for that's what my brain did too as well. Well, so you have to prepare a whole menu. You have to like divvy up like who's going to do what. You had to get all of the ingredients. You then had to cook things and prepare them for like 100 people. So it really is like something that like probably I have no idea anything about the catering business, but I'm assuming like maybe 3 days would be a reasonable amount of time, because you could do like planning and then prep the day before, and then the day of do whatever needs to be done that day.
They could have at least gone home and slept with brains and then be awake and be like, okay, I'm fresh. I got coffee. Let's plan this out. Mm-hmm. But they had to start immediately. But I also want to say they found ways to cut corners, right? So here's one of the ways they found to cut corners.
Let's do it. Let's buy like white cake mix. Are we all on the same page that we're going to use a box cake mix and that's okay?
Yes,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So they decide to cut corners and not make wedding cake from scratch, and instead use Betty Crocker white cake. What do you guys think? Would you have that at your wedding during this?
Well, I don't like cake. So that would make it
had churros.
I had churros.
He had churros and
how many did you have, Jamal?
I had fucking 100. I think the final tally came in. I got a message from the wedding said, "Congratulations, you had 100 churros."
Did anyone tell me this, Jamal? At any time, did anyone like any of the wait staff or the servers
no, they didn't say
comment on how many churros you had?
A word to me. I just kept going up and grabbing churros and just scarfing them down. I was like, these are so great.
So so I'm setting myself up for a story here, which is why I did that. And that's what a person like talking about themselves does. I went to a wedding and they had like shrimp appetizers that was just like shrimp cocktail. And I ate a fair amount of them. But they were like the kind that people were walking around on like trays to the point where like they were like, "Hey, there's the guy that wants shrimp," and they were like coming up to me and like giving me more and like commenting on it. So I'm wondering like why no one was like, "Hey, there's the churro guy" to you, but to me they were like, "Man, I know this guy wants shrimp."
I don't know, like maybe language barrier, maybe. Also, I'm a black guy, so maybe intimidation factor there. So
they thought they were worried. They said anything you would dunk on them.
Yeah, they're like, I'm not going to say anything. He is eating an insane amount of churros, but I wouldn't dare start a tuffle during this wedding.
Because he would slam dunk on you.
He would slam dunk on me so hard. But yeah, I had so many.
I remember at one point, like, I think you did tell me that you had 16. And
I was keeping count at one point. And then I said, I'm not sure that counts right. I think I'm off.
They were tasty. To your initial question on like baking the cake, if I did have to have a cake, I think I would want. I don't know. It doesn't matter really, right? I see on Top Chef. So this happens in later seasons. They don't like it if you use box blank. Box anything is pathetic.
It's box wine.
It's like box wine. It's like, anything from a box is what poor people do, and it's not true chef artistry. So I get why Tom and others eventually get pissed at this. I think for me, I would not be able to tell the difference.
I wouldn't. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think cake to me is the frosting.
It's not the sponge at all. It's the frosting.
like cake tastes like cake. You can buy a box of like white cake or like chocolate cake, or like spice cake or carrot cake. But what you're there for is the frosting.
Okay.
Do you just eat the frosting off like cupcakes?
No, I eat both, but what's more important to me, like, I think, so it wraps around to what I like most about like French fries and nuggets are like the dips that you put them in. So I think
what?
I'm more about like the extra. So like cake is great, but it's about like the buttercream. And they made buttercream.
They did make buttercream, but here's the thing: if you're Leanne and you're going to sell someone on a Genoese sponge cake, when someone hears that, it sounds fancy and they want it because it is like a juicy, buttery sponge cake. So when you deliver a Betty Crocker white cake and no one calls you out on it, it's just that Tom Colicchio knows that you're using a Betty Crocker sponge cake.
Yeah, and he's just disappointed in you.
Yeah. So we already talked about that they cut corners with the cake mix, but they weren't willing to cut corners when it came to salmon. Although Harold did have to fight to get some fish because they had to go to a grocery store to get the ingredients.
And so you can't really see this at home. Well, I guess if you watch the episode, you can see it. But at this point, Harold is in a tug of war. I almost said tug and war. That's not it. It's tug of war, right?
It's a tug.
God,
let's break down tug of war. Does tug of war make sense when you say it like that? What would make more sense would be war of tug.
Yeah.
I don't know. This
tug
whole
of
the internet going out is really throwing off my game. It's making me be in my head about everything.
Guys, let us know in the comments. Is it tug of war or tug and war? And should we, as a whole, as a nation, come together and agree that we should change it to war of tug?
So they got the salmon. It wasn't the salmon that Harold wanted, but it will do for a wedding that was tasked to them not 20 minutes ago, and they have to prepare an entire menu for in less than 16 hours. I would like to listen to Harold's hot take beforehand, before they go shopping.
Who caters a wedding out of a supermarket? That's unheard of. That's ridiculous. You have specialty purveyors that you go to that specialize.
You have specialty purveyors who specialize in it. And you guys, we're all married, so I want to ask you guys, at your wedding, would you guys have been okay if someone said, we're going to pay for your wedding, but we're going to buy all the ingredients from the supermarket?
I don't think I really care where they get it from as long as it tastes good and it wasn't on the floor or something.
Don't they get most of the food for Top Chef from the supermarket?
Yeah, Whole Foods, baby.
Yeah, I don't. What's the difference?
I don't know, but they were very much like, well, can't do a wedding at a supermarket.
I mean, if Harold wants, if they had told him to go to that gas station from episode 1 and make a wedding food, then I'd get why Harold would be like, I'm not going to a gas station to make wedding. That's crazy. Like they have food at the supermarket. That's where all my food comes from.
That's the first.
Where else am I
place
supposed to get my food? Yeah. That's where you go for food.
Pick berries in Central Park? No. I gotta go to Wegmans.
Yeah, I went to Wegmans.
Get a pizza.
If someone was like, hey, they're gonna cater your wedding from like Wegmans, I'd be like, cool. They got a bunch of food there. If they told me they were gonna go to a grocery store to cater my wedding, great, because that's where the food that I like to have is. Pizza. That's where it is. It's in the frozen section next to the frozen vegetables, which we ignore, and go straight to the pizza. It's on the bottom part.
Okay, so they've got all their groceries, right? And they're going to pull an all-nighter, and they're going to cook and prepare all night through the night, and finally gets to the point where they're close to the wedding reception and they're about to start serving food. And we have Steven doing what Steven does best. He's got to stop, take some time out, talk down to the wait staff and let them know what it is they're doing tonight. So let's take a listen.
The next course is Steven's amuse-bouche.
So does everyone have an idea kind of what we're doing tonight? We're doing a wedding reception, which I think you've probably done hundreds of already. You know, essentially it's a wine dinner.
So I'm calling wedding receptions wine dinners from now on.
Well, I always ask that question when I go into a wedding or I say that I will be attending. I'm saying, well, is this a wine dinner or is it other?
Because you want to know. You want to be prepared. You want to know, what does my palate need to be prepared for? Am I getting a wine dinner or is this a cocktail supper?
What I want to know is how come it's fancy to have a wine dinner when Steven talks about it, but when I drink my dinner, I get told to go home from work. It's fancy. It's fancy when Steven on Top Chef says we're going to have a wine dinner and he drinks wine for dinner. But when I drink Guinness for lunch, they tell me to go home early. They say, hey, Brian, you reek of Guinness. Go home. And I say, I had a liquid lunch. And they say, no, you're not Steven from Top Chef season 1. You're Brian from this office. Go home. You're drunk.
Well, Brian, at that point, you're drunk and you're being very belligerent at work. Yeah. So I think it's not what you had for, well, it is what you had for lunch, which was just beer and an empty stomach.
Yeah.
So. And is it belligerent to push over my desk when they tell me to go home and I say, you clean that up?
That's a little bit, but also they should be able to work with you on that. You clearly just have a full stomach from the lunch you had. So
yeah, I'm just sleepy from lunch is what I say. They say, Brian, you had 4 Guinnesses for lunch. And I say, no, I'm just sleepy. They say, you're very drunk. And I go, no, I'm not. Hold on, I just got to play some music. And then I play Incubus's Morning View album from start to finish, and I'm good to go.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if there is ever an indicator that someone is not prepared mentally to be at work, it's when they're playing Morning View in the middle of the afternoon.
You know, so they're serving now. We're at the wedding reception. They're serving the food.
Hold on, can I hold on? So they have to stop cooking for a little bit to introduce to the judges, which are Tom. Yeah, we know. Gail. Sure, we're aware of that. And guest judge Marcy Bloom, wedding caterer to the stars. And we know that she's a wedding caterer to the stars for one example that KLJ gives us. And that's that she catered her wedding. And you know what that means? That motherfucker knows Billy Joel.
Yeah, she knows freaking Green Day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was the one star that they bring up.
And they didn't even say it. She was just like, so they didn't say Billy Joel's name. I guess he didn't want to be involved in Top Chef. But Katie says, she catered my wedding. And we're supposed to go, oh, yeah, because you're a big star.
She also, she didn't have any emotion with it, which I almost said was weird, but it's not weird. That's on par for her. Yeah, that makes sense. But it feels like there would at least be like a couple of other people that she would list along with it. Who was the contestant that was cooked to a chef to the stars? And it was Brian. Yeah, and then he proceeded to name a bunch of people from the 90s. Why didn't she do that?
Like
missed opportunity.
The way that Katie did it, it seemed like she was just like repaying a favor. Like she was just like, she catered my wedding.
She catered my wedding, so that's why she's here.
This too. She's like, look, we had no one else. She said she would do it. She was available. Yeah. When the food first starts coming out, the guests all seem to be stoked. They love it. Everything is good. They cut to the judges. They hate it. They say it's greasy. Yeah,
they're like, this food's disgusting. I can't believe these, Scott's eating it. I see Scott's also eating it. It's gross. Everyone, I think the only thing that people outside of the judges kind of across the board said that they didn't like was the salmon, which seemed to have no flavor and other stuff was wrong with it.
Maybe you should have went with the frozen wild card.
You know that salmon was gross because one of the guests said that it might as well have been chicken, and we all know that chicken is poor people food. That
if salmon tastes like chicken, you messed up.
But that papaya salad looked good. I love a papaya salad. That's a great appetizer.
I thought it feels like that would work well. A papaya salad with like a fish of any kind, like, and definitely salmon. Salmon's good, so it feels like it would pair well. I don't know.
I think what happened though is I remember the mix-up that happened when he was like, "Oh, they're doing a toast right now, so we're holding the food." And he's like, "Wait, what? We're holding the food?" So I think he had the nice crisp saute on top of the salmon. And then it had to sit back there. And so it got soggy and it got oily. And so his dish got messed up. But Harold knows Mediterranean. I mean, that's 3 of his restaurants were Mediterranean themed. He knows Mediterranean. So that should have worked well, but it did not. But I think it was more the wedding's fault more than his. Because they were churning and burning back there.
One of my favorite things about like Restaurant Wars and about this episode is when they are told to fire things. I just love that saying so much. It's like, fire this. I think that's great. I wish I was a chef just so I could like be told to fire things. Maybe that's
you can do that at home
so much. What's that?
You can do that at home. You can be like, "Hey, Carrie, I'm going to fire up dinner." Or, "Hey, Carrie, I'm firing the potatoes right now."
Well, no, I need someone to tell me to fire something.
Well, tell your wife to tell you to fire something.
No, she'll probably just fire me. She won't understand what I'm asking. She'll just say, "You're fired." Jamal, I'm on thin ice over here right now. We've been living in close proximity for 8 months right now, working from home for this long. I got a foot out the door as far as she's concerned. And if I start telling her how I want her to tell me to ask for things, she's going to fucking kick my ass out the door.
That's a good point.
She's going to say, "Hey, Brian, can you make dinner?" I'll say, "Can you tell me to fire dinner?" She'll get the fuck out of here.
That's it. Last straw. Get the fuck out of here. That is I don't know how you explain that to another human being. I want you to tell me to do things differently. No, not the tone or what. Just I want you to use a different word. Like I want you to say fire
instead of cook. Say fire. Say, "Brian, when are you going to fire up dinner? When are you going to fire dinner?"
"Hey, Brian, can you fire up that DiGiorno?" And I'll say, "Way ahead of you." See, that sounds so great.
Yeah. Just ask her to say it one time.
But if I could find somebody to like drop hints, you guys have any idea so I can like drop hints to her? Maybe also saying it to her. And then she's like, "Oh, that sounds cool." And then she'll give it to me.
Drop hints, he says.
I can start lighting things on fire around the house.
Yeah, you could start buying candles if that's not normal, and just start lighting it. And you're like, "Man, there's a lot of fire around the house, huh, Carrie?" A lot of fire.
Yeah, buying candles isn't normal here. We make our own candles in this house.
You make your own candles?
Oh my god!
Yeah, we make them. We do it like Fight Club.
Okay. So instead of making soap, you make your own candles. Okay. And you steal, was it a fat and lard from a cosmetic plant?
Oh no, I was just referring to there's a lot of pictures of dicks around the house. We do it.
Okay. All right. Well, if a bunch of house full of picture of dicks sounds not appetizing to you, then you're in good company, because that's how it felt for the people who went to the wedding and had their food. Because listen to the people, Scott and Scott, talk about the wedding as they're questioned by Tom.
Exciting and amazing that it's very difficult to kind of go back and then find disappointment, because I'm an optimist.
Overall the meal went really well, given the parameters that they were given. I think most people, had a great time and really enjoyed the dinner. Don't you?
Which part of the meal did you love?
What did I love?
So that right there, if you didn't catch it, that's when Tom asked, "What part of the meal did you love?" And Scott does the classic "I hated it" thing when he repeats the question back. Which part of the meal did I love? Usually when you love something, you can just answer that question. But Scott had to think about it, which tells me he may not have loved it.
Carrie, would you mind if I asked you to start telling me to fire everything when you want me to do something? And Carrie says,
she has to respond.
Would I love if you told me to fire everything? When I was like, "Hey, Reeves, Jamal, do you guys want to do a Top Chef podcast over Zoom? And then you guys are both like, what do we want to do?
I think that is how I responded when you first asked. I said, do I want to do a Top Chef podcast over Zoom? I'd love to.
I thought that they liked the food. It didn't seem that bad.
Well,
they didn't like the salmon.
Hey, if you can't think of something that you loved from dinner, then dinner wasn't great. Because
did they even eat the beef?
Hold on, I'll tell you right now. I went to both your weddings, Reeves. I loved the beef at your wedding. At the dinner on the. Are
you gonna tell me that you didn't love the food at my wedding reception?
I don't remember the food at your
wedding. Yeah.
I actually don't think I ate at your wedding though. There's also that
because it looks so gross.
Well, no, I think I didn't eat at your wedding
because it looks so gross.
There. I think I was more concerned with the fact that I knew like 2 people. You're really trying to pigeonhole me and say that the food was gross. I didn't have the food, so I can't comment on it.
My wife's going to listen to this, so I need to get behind this.
Yeah.
Exception only. We didn't have a wedding. We had it at a bar underneath a bridge in Georgetown, D.C., which is now closed. I thought it was great. I thought the crab cakes were too salty, and I got pissed drunk, and I had a good time, and I got married.
Yeah, I didn't have crab cakes. That's true. I've never had crab cakes. I'm not a huge crab fan, so
I wasn't there. But
Brian, were you at Reeves' wedding?
I was at Reeves' wedding with the 3 amigos.
Yeah, he was there.
That's interesting. So you were at Reeves' wedding. You guys were both at my wedding, but Reeves was not invited to your wedding.
Oh, that's because he wasn't friends with me then.
I was trying to backtrack and think what year. So what year was it that you would have had?
That was the year you were watching The Matrix because you're dodging so many bullets.
What?
Who, me?
Yeah, Reeves. Because I was trying to make a burn on Brian because he said Reeves wasn't friends with him.
It was 2000. It's 2015.
Yeah, and
okay.
Reeves, I believe you were deploying an update.
I had a work thing. I had a work thing going on. That explains it. No other explanation needed.
That's fine. I invited lots of like high school friends. None of them came.
I remember at Brian's wedding, I got into an argument with his sister, who looks exactly like him, about racism.
Oh man, why was I not invited to this wedding?
I didn't get into like a full argument. She just was like going out of her way to like prove she wasn't racist. And I was like, okay, I've let this go. So she kept going on about it.
What a wedding.
It was a good time. My favorite part is that we didn't have a DJ, but we made multiple Spotify playlists, and I plugged my laptop in and just let it go. And I was like, hey guys, if you want to add stuff. People went over there and deleted songs from the playlist. And I know the names of people who did it. And I'm not going to say it here, but I know that you did it.
Well, I know it wasn't me because your boy walked over there to get the party started because people weren't dancing that much. But your boy played Hot in Here by Nelly, and it turned the party out. Yeah, everyone couldn't resist but to get on the dance floor.
Prior to that, people couldn't figure out how to actually dance to a bunch of New Found Glory songs. So
yep.
It's my wedding, damn it. I want to play Pop Punk from 2003.
This is a bunch of Soundgarden.
That's cool. So the freaking wedding was over, and Scott were super excited, I guess. And so we get to the judges table. And they are deliberating exactly what was good, what was bad, and then they have everyone come out there and they just like let them have it. Tom is not happy.
I got to tell you, I was across the board disappointed. This is going to sound harsh. I've had better from a takeout place in New York.
Ooh, better than a takeout place in New York.
Wow.
I wonder why he name drops New York. Is it known for having bad takeout?
So that's what I was thinking. It's like, isn't takeout, especially in New York, good? Like,
yeah, I think that's what he's saying. He's like, we could have done takeout in New York and it would have been better.
But is he saying he hasn't had it like? I guess so. It's kind of like it's not that bad of a slam then, because if New Yorkers are having great takeout, just pick, like I've had better takeout in Peoria, Illinois. Like okay, that fucking takeout probably sucks ass there for sure.
Yeah, but takeout is fast. Takeout is you don't have 16 hours to prepare takeout. So like they shouldn't. Someone who's not cooking as long shouldn't be able to put out better food than you.
I don't know. He wasn't happy. No, they ask who should go home. Leanne goes to bat for Dave, which I thought was weird. She was like, "Look, if anyone should not go home, it's Dave. Should not go home. He was a king. He's the only one who's done catering. He was great."
Well, he did help out a lot. He like finished his stuff early and then was just jumping in there. So
yeah, and then they were like, "Oh, great. That sounds good, Dave. Who do you think she should go home?" And he was like, "Steven."
Steven, no expression on his face, just completely in the moment, ready to receive lines and to give lines back out. It just completely dead in the face.
So Tom is mad. Everyone is kind of going at everybody. Harold, again, doesn't give a fuck. Like, Harold is like challenging them to get sent home. He's done this before. He's just like, I don't give a shit. He's like, yeah, the salmon sucked. What are you gonna do?
What do you want me to do? I fired it when I was supposed to be firing it. Then they did a toast. What do you want me to do?
Even after the elimination, he's like, I could have said something, but I didn't. He was like, whatever. And he said, because Steven went after Leanne, he like didn't want to back him up. I don't know. I feel like Steven, the Herald, is just like, I'm on fucking TV. I'm going to be a real person. I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Another fun thing about this judgment table is that nobody wins. Just like, there's no winners.
Yeah. Tom this season has decided that no one will win in an episode. He has said that he wants to eliminate more than one person in an episode. He is very grumpy about the contestants and what they have delivered in each elimination challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I asked him why that's the case, like why he seems so angry at the judging table. And he said, "Look, man, I'm going to tell you." We had a phone call. He's like, "Look, man, I'm going to tell you. This was my show. You know, I'm the one. I'm head judge. This is my show. And those guys fucking suck. So I get embarrassed. He's embarrassed. You know, he's like, I put you guys here, and this is what you do. You know." That's not funny. It's just the truth. That's what
I was just he won't pick up my calls. He only responds via email.
Yeah.
And I like email him. I'm like, why didn't you pick up? And then he said, "Oh, I didn't see you call it." I'm like, okay, calling right now. And then it just goes to voicemail.
Yeah, it goes to voicemail. It's like, I know you're on your phone. You just answered the email. It says sent by iPhone. So I know that you're on your phone right now.
I don't know what's going on. Why is he picking up Brian's calls and not mine?
Yeah, we'll dig into that in future episodes.
Just as a hint at why it might be that he answers my calls and not y'all's calls, is that when he answers the call, it often sounds like it's somebody else.
So you call and it's someone else like, hello, this is Miguel speaking.
Well, no, they say it's Tom, but it sounds like it might be Miguel.
It might be Miguel pretending to be Tom.
Yeah, and he's like, no, I promise this is Tom. And I'm like, this kind of sounds like Miguel.
And then you say, say his last name? Colacchio.
He's a Colacchio. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. That's how I pronounce it. And so I believe, so maybe that's why. But I'm pretty sure that it's Tom. I do the 3-question test that we all have to do when we talk to Tom Colicchio, as I say, pronounce your last name, and he says Colicchio, and I say, what are we not supposed to call you? And he says Mott.
He says, what do I want you doing on the podcast? He's making up cooking terms. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then the last thing.
And then the last thing, of course, is he makes me sing all of Hold Me Closer, Tiny Dancer. It's his favorite song.
Mm-hmm. You know who also needs to hear that song right about now? Steven, because he got eliminated. Listen to this.
Ultimately, we have to make a decision.
Steven, please
Please pack your knives and go. Do you have anything to say?
No.
You can all go.
Time has come.
Steven definitely deserved to go home. I could have backed him up, but, you know, I mean, he called Leanne out. There's no way I was going to let Leanne go out like that.
Despite all the criticism that I've received, I fully take all my pride that I have for this industry, providing an unbelievable experience for the guests. Now that my role in this competition has finally come to an end, I'm going to be a restaurateur, and that is my goal in life. I will probably influence the industry and raise the bar and to a level of excellence that I don't think has been achieved yet to date in this country.
Did you guys hear that part where he says, now that my role is complete on the show?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And he slipped up and let the cat out of the bag that he is, in fact, a paid actor on season 1.
We know that you're Bryan Cranston. You just let it slip that you said role. And
Yeah.
after this, you
Yeah.
want to do fucking Breaking Bad. So, yeah, he fucking changed the game.
Yeah, he did do that. So, changed the game. Didn't change the culinary game so much, but he did do a great 6-season arc in his next role.
Yeah. And he also, like, right as he's packing his knives up and leaving, which is like the montage you see at the very end, he looks at the camera and gives a kiss and then bows and then kind of puts his hands together in kind of a prayer thing and kind of like nods, and it kind of goes back and forth. I think he's like gesturing maybe to the producers or whatever, and then he's kind of got some tears, and someone comes up and brings him some roses, and then he just kind of like walks out. So pretty actory, if you ask me.
As you can see, I'm the only real Asian in the room.
Yes, and we should keep that and play that in another episode. And then we're just getting closer to being some kind of like morning radio show.
Well, so the paid actor Steven is gone, and I think the contestants who are remaining are all better chefs for it. I think we're down to our 9 finest, or what should I call it, Napa's finest, which is the title of the next episode. We'll see them next time. But until then, I feel like we're going to pack our knives and go.
Pack our knives and rate us 5 stars and tell us what you've had for dinner and end that podcast then.
Do you guys like that Harold interview that happened?